When Nathan Lerner unlocked the door to room 851 on April 13, 1973, he expected to find the usual debris of a deceased tenant. What he found instead was one of the most disturbing and magnificent works of art ever created in complete secrecy. A universe built by a man who spent 60 years invisible to the world, harboring an obsession so all-consuming that it would eventually redefine the boundaries between genius and madness. Henry Darger was nobody, a janitor, a dishwasher, the kind of man you'd pass on the street without a second glance. He lived alone in a single room in Chicago, went to mass 3 times a day, and never spoke about his past. His co-workers remembered him as odd, reclusive, muttering to himself as he mopped hospital floors. When he died at age 81 in a Catholic mission, not a single person attended his funeral. But in that locked room, Nathan Lerner discovered something impossible. Stacked floor to ceiling were hundreds of paintings, some stretching over 10 feet long. Watercolors of epic battle scenes featuring thousands of warriors. Mystical landscapes with 2 moons hanging in alien skies, and everywhere children. Beautiful, heroic children with haunting eyes. And then there was the manuscript. 15,145 pages, single-spaced, handwritten. The longest work of fiction ever created by a single human being, 3 times the length of War and Peace. It took a wheelbarrow to remove it from the apartment. The title alone consumed an entire page. The story of the Vivian girls in what is known as the realms of the unreal, of the Glandico-Angelinian war storm caused by the child slave rebellion. Henry Darger had spent 6 decades building an entire universe, complete with its own history, geography, religion, and apocalyptic war, and no one knew. The story he wrote is both magnificent and deeply unsettling. On a planet in a parallel dimension, 7 sister princesses lead a rebellion against an evil empire that enslaves children. These aren't fairy tale princesses. They're warriors, generals leading armies of millions. The Vivian girls command nations, orchestrate military campaigns, and witness horrors that would make Game of Thrones look tame. Cities burn. Children are tortured and murdered in graphic detail. Supernatural storms tear the world apart. The body count reaches into the hundreds of thousands. But here's where it gets strange. Darger painted his heroines obsessively, hundreds of portraits. And in nearly every single image, these young girls are depicted nude or partially clothed. At first glance, they appear female. But look closer, something's wrong. The anatomy is ambiguous, deliberately confusing. Many figures possess both male and female characteristics. Art historians have debated for decades whether this was intentional or if Darger simply didn't understand human anatomy. The truth might be darker. Darger never had access to nude models. He traced his figures from newspapers, magazines, and advertisements. Primarily, he used pictures of the copper-toned sunscreen girl and images from the Sears catalog. When he needed to depict nudity, he would meticulously paste male genitalia onto female bodies he traced. Over and over and over again. Thousands of times. Why? The question becomes more disturbing when you learn about his childhood. Henry Darger's mother died when he was 4. His father, crippled and unable to care for him, surrendered Henry to a Catholic mission. At age 8, Henry was diagnosed as feeble-minded and institutionalized at the Illinois Asylum for Feeble-Minded Children. The diagnosis was likely wrong. Henry could read, write, and would later demonstrate an extraordinary creative intelligence. But in 1904, poor children were routinely warehoused in such places on the flimsiest pretexts. The asylum was a nightmare. Children were subjected to forced labor, brutal punishments, and abuse that went unreported and uninvestigated. Henry later wrote cryptically about his experiences, mentioning the punishment room and describing torments he endured. At 12 years old, he tried to escape. He was caught and punished. He tried again at 17 and succeeded, fleeing into the Chicago winter with nothing. For the rest of his life, he would be obsessed with children in danger, with innocence destroyed, with slavery and liberation. In his manuscript, there's a character named Annie Ehrenberg, a 5-year-old girl who is kidnapped, tortured, and strangled to death by enemy soldiers. Her murder triggers a catastrophic war that lasts for decades and kills millions. Darger wrote and rewrote her death scene dozens of times, each version more graphic than the last. Annie Ehrenberg was real. In 1911, a 5-year-old girl named Elsie Parubek disappeared in Chicago. The city launched a massive search. 2 months later, her body was found in a drainage ditch. She had been murdered. The case was never solved, but it dominated headlines for months. Henry Darger, then 19, collected every newspaper clipping about her death. He kept them for the rest of his life. Elsie became Annie. Her death became the catalyst for his entire fictional universe. A murdered child became the center of a 60-year obsession. But the strangest part isn't the content of Darger's work. It's the scale of his delusion. Because Henry Darger didn't just write a story. He believed he was documenting real events happening in another dimension. He kept a detailed diary for 33 years, and in it, he describes weather events in the realms of the unreal, as if they were actually occurring. He prayed for the Vivian girls. He agonized over their military defeats. When things went badly in the story, he would see it as God punishing him personally. At one point, he lost a photograph he treasured. He became convinced this was a sign that God had abandoned him. In response, he rewrote the ending of his entire manuscript. In the new version, the Vivian girls lose. The rebellion fails. The children remain enslaved. Evil triumphs. Henry called this version Further Adventures in Chicago, Crazy House, Insane Asylum. He was rewriting his own childhood over and over, trying to change the ending. The landlord who discovered this universe, Nathan Lerner, was himself a photographer and artist. He immediately recognized the significance of what he'd found. The paintings were extraordinary, combining traced advertisements with wildly imaginative landscapes, creating a collision of the mundane and the mythic that was unlike anything in the art world. Lerner began the long process of preserving and cataloging Darger's work. Today, Henry Darger is considered one of the greatest outsider artists in history. His paintings sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Museums exhibit his work alongside Picasso and Warhol. Books, documentaries, and academic papers dissect every aspect of his life and art, but we still don't understand him. Was he a traumatized child processing abuse through fantasy? A repressed homosexual exploring gender in the only way he could? An undiagnosed autistic savant channeling obsession into art? A psychotic man with a rich inner world? A predator whose artwork reveals disturbing fixations? No one knows. Henry Darger left almost no personal information. He had no friends, no relationships, no confidants. The only window into his mind is the work itself, and that work is so strange, so layered, so contradictory that it resists simple interpretation. What we do know is this. For 60 years, every day after work, Henry Darger would return to his tiny room and step into another world. A world where enslaved children could fight back, where little girls were powerful generals, where the innocent, no matter how brutalized, could still win in the end. Most of the time. He created this world knowing no one would ever see it. He worked without recognition, without hope of publication, without an audience. He created for the act of creation itself, or perhaps for something else, a ritual, a prayer, an exorcism of demons no one else could see. In his final diary entry, written shortly before a stroke left him unable to write, Henry Darger wrote 5 words. I am still partly happy, not fully happy, partly. After 60 years of building a universe, of fighting an eternal war on paper, of saving and losing and saving again the children he could never protect in real life, he achieved partial happiness. It's the saddest victory imaginable. When you see Henry Darger's paintings today in museums, you're looking at more than art. You're looking at one man's attempt to rewrite reality itself, to create a world where he mattered, where children were saved, where suffering had meaning. He died alone in 1973, convinced he had failed. He had no idea that his secret universe would outlive him, that millions would eventually walk through the realms of the unreal, that the Vivian girls would march on, eternal and unstoppable. In the end, Henry Darger did what he set out to do. He saved the children, just not the way he thought he would. The janitor was nobody. His universe is forever. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment below. Thank you.